Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at the differences between these two NT carburetors. So pretty much the story with these is that this one was the original carburetor that came with a 2-stroke gas engine kit that I got off of bikeberry.com, which they just, sell bike engine kits of various sizes. And then basically a bunch of rusty gunk came out of the gas tank and clogged this one up, and this carburetor was starving the engine of fuel. So Bikeberry sent us a new one, this one. Now, this one is pretty much the exact same. This giant black thing is just the air filter. It's not on here. It's the same. I just took it off so you can see the choke in here. It's going up and down. But we're going to look at the differences between these two because there's a lot of them. So we're going to start off with the bowl of the carburetor, which is this little thing at the bottom here. Now, both of them have the bowl, and basically what's in here is a little, plastic donut thing that is hollow. And that thing just kind of bobs around in it because the bowl fills up with gas when it's in operation. Now, the older one has a little spring, so you can push that in, like you see, and gas will come out so you can check your gas levels, like that. Whereas the new one has a screw. So you would have to unscrew it to check your gas. Not much in there. And then you can see the white donut thing. And a gasket. Another interesting thing is that this carburetor does not have a primer. I did not notice it before this one came, but you can see it now. The primer is this little red thing here. It goes up and down. And it's right next to the idle screw. This one also has an idle screw in about the same place, but there isn't even an opening for a primer to go. Not even anywhere on it. So, the primer serves its purpose as it sucks fuel by pushing it up and down. It sucks fuel into the carburetor and the bowl. I would like to attribute the issue of the carburetor starving the engine of fuel to the lack of a primer, which makes sense because, no fuel in the carburetor, no fuel in the engine, but this carburetor wasn't even designed with a primer in mind, so, it makes no sense. Turning over to the other side, we can see that the fuel lines take very different routes. On this one, we can see that it comes in, down, and seems to take some sort of path through this bulge down into the bowl. Whereas this one seems to go straight through with not as many pathways. As for the air filter and choke, this is the choke. Basically, it is a small lever that goes up and down. When it is in this position, it lets the maximum amount of air flow through the engine. When it is let down, it lets only a small amount of air through, and the fuel mixture runs rich. It looks just like this underneath that filter. We'll now have a look at the throttle assembly in each of the carburetors. Each throttle assembly consists of an end cap to let the throttle cable through, a spring so that the throttle will twist back when pulled, and a pin to let fuel in through the bowl. Inside this metal piece, which is in the throttle assembly, is a washer and the pin. On the pin, I'm not sure if you can tell, but there are 5 little notches engraved into it. This little clip here sits on the middle one. The position of the clip on the pin decides the mixture of fuel coming in. While in the middle, it's a moderate mix of fuel between rich and lean. The only thing left that I can think of is an idle screw. The idle screw is basically a small screw that goes into the carburetor, and it decides how your idle is going to be, whether it's rough or smooth. Well, you decide that, basically, by twisting it either 10 to 11 times, and that decides how much your throttle is going to be stuck open. You can see that it's a bit open right there, and that's because this screw goes in and opens it up. So when it's slightly open all the time, that means that your engine can idle. So that's a basic explanation of an NT carburetor. I'll post a video of it running on my engine when I get it up. That might be a few weeks though, it's been rough.